Where was I? Okay, let's just talk about the kids. This will be separate from the other one. Interruptions abound, and obviously planning wasn't working out because this was spontaneous, and I'm inclined typically to have some kind of plan, as I don't want to be wasting time looking for words, because I know that time is precious and you've got to have these little shortcuts in order to appeal nowadays. Marketing, presentation is everything. I understand that. Let's move on quickly. The children of the day, as opposed to those children in the video I posted from elsewhere. I don't know where it was, but obviously you got a row of, looks like 7 or 8 year old kids getting a firm forehand by some well-dressed Cosby sweater-wearing puke. He's also got like a little reed, and he gives the occasional one a smack on the ass. And obviously I don't know what it is, but it's obviously part of the plan. So anyway, I was getting to where I'm not necessarily thinking that the children here today as a whole are any further ahead. I simply because I don't know. I look at where I came from. That wasn't right. Nothing about it was right. I made a little video with the school bus. Disgusting. That's not right. That's still going on. You look at the curriculum today, which is slightly different than the curriculum that I had to endure. That was mindless. It didn't achieve anything. It wasn't meant to achieve anything. It's remember this for Friday. Oh great, Sally, you're really good at remembering something for 24 hours. You're the smart person. And then here we are 20 years later, and the people that are really good at repeating things, obviously they really skated through the cracks. And obviously if you're wealthy, daddy, mommy just buys you a degree, and then you can go sit on the board somewhere and whatever, have your cigarette boat and the hookers and the 3 wives and concubines and what have you. But for the other people, for the most of us, the people that aren't just going to, that can't afford to pay for post-secondary because the costs of it are atrocious. And if you're wealthy, obviously that doesn't matter. I mean, it has to be. It has to happen. There really isn't a lot of choice. If you're wealthy, you just go through the motions, because it is post-secondary, unless it is very focused, is just going through the motions. But for the other people that really want to do everything they can to provide for their children, which I think is very natural, typically, that everything is tapering. So obviously this is not, tapering. See, tapering. Because before, as I've said before, when my parents were growing up, they probably could have sat in a kindergarten class of 30 people. And at the time, they probably would have been white, but I only threw that in because it's the truth. But at that time, the teacher probably could have said that the people in that room had the ability to almost be anything. And if they said it now, you'd know they were just blowing smoke up your ass, and that they were just reading the teleprompter like one of our ditch pig politicians. But at the time, it would have been pretty true that they could have went on to be just about anything, because there was opportunity, and the tapering didn't exist whatsoever. So by the time I get along, and I'm 20, which would be around 1990, they would say to my face that I couldn't be a cop because I was white. Said it right to my face. I've heard it then. I've heard it all the time since. And when I tell people that, lots of other people have heard it. You could never be a cop. You're white. Which at the time, 20 years ago, when I was 20, that went right at me, and I thought, geez, everybody I know is white. And the only people I was told that were being selected or alienated or removed from discussion, or the opportunity was taken away from, were white people. And I thought, geez, it was kind of hard to compute when the only fucking people I knew were white. And I think, geez, I mean, so there's nothing for us. And then of course you go forward, and that was just part of the plan. And even now it's not much better, but now at least it's equal in terms of there just is no opportunity. But I'm not having children that aren't going to have opportunity. And if there weren't any children out here, that if there weren't people that were sitting on the other side of you right now that are little children, I wouldn't be making these fucking videos, because I know that talking to you is like pissing up a rope. I know that talking to just about anybody is a rope just dangling there for piss. Because I just don't understand what you're doing. So when you look around out there, that you should realize that now that post-secondary is out of reach more and more for more and more people, and that if you wanted to be a doctor, you might have to spend upwards of $500,000 at every given year is more. Do you think how many of us can afford $500,000 and upwards of $1,000,000 to be that one job where you know there will be some demand for you? Because besides that, it really falls off quickly, and that there is no opportunity. All the while, the cost of living is going through the roof, right? Cost of living, the cost of the necessities, the fuel, the heating sources, the gasoline, everything is going in one direction, while fewer and fewer people are able to, because it's being tapered, and it's not being tapered in the favor of the masses, obviously. We are being kept down here, so we are the soil. I wouldn't even say we're fertilizer, because that would be flattering. We're just the soil. Like, this is just a human farm. So as I was just saying, they're closing down anything of value in Canada. They're removing all the industry, all the worthwhile industry is leaving by design. So we will all be one thing. One thing. All the while the border's being removed. So the states will line right up shortly. It already does if you're paying attention. We will be just one thing. In Mexico, down here, it's just going to be made into one thing because that border's being totally opened up. So North America will just be one place. So, and it's not like all of a sudden we're going to push our value, because we don't have value. There is no value here. There's nothing. We just got pockets of investment. We're not going to be able to spread that nonsense south, but everything that's south will creep up here. So that's why they shut down the Oshawa car plants. That will drive people more into the city, because they'll need to start stacking up on each other, red ants on a hill. The only thing that we get are checks from the mail, and the deficit going up. So everybody's got a mailbox. Everybody just keeps walking around in motion. The slinky that is the society, our meaning, our structure, is going to stop. But everybody else out there, the mindless drones, we're going to keep functioning. But it's the children there. So you look at, they're going to go to up teen years of education for nothing. So to be honest, I mean, I have nothing good to say about what's happening here, and I look at this. This was my prop here. See, the Jehovah's drop by, and they offered this. You see, you read this. Whatever happened to discipline? See, and then you got these. Well, it's obviously a bunch of white people, but there's no point in picking this out. But anyway, little bastard, and old people just don't know what to do, and they got the. What is this? Yeah, just mindless. So anyway, I've read it. I read it cover to cover, and it's disgusting. I mean, I know that you think some Jehovah just sat here and whipped this up by himself. I mean, no, it'd all be part of the mandate. It'd be big business. It would be big pharma, big agra, big auto. This is big business, because somebody actually went on your door and said, "Oh, here, let's learn about this." And you think, yeah, it's just disgusting. Whatever happened to discipline? Well, the only way that they could get us to this point where we're just fucking brain dead and useless in every fucking way there is to make sure you destroy the family. So we're 3 generations into having the family destroyed, and now you've got the kids here, all right, just done, right, by design. Right? Those kids in another video that are getting hit and whacked, they're probably pretty good at listening. Not that I'm defending that, but over here, this is rampant. It wouldn't be published on the cover of some propaganda nonsense here, right? Because you're not really pushing religion here. You're pushing, I don't know, indoctrination, which is religion if you want to get into that. And then discipline that works, right? Oh, shoot, right? It's just disgusting. And then how to deal with loneliness and everything. I read that too, and that's disgusting, this shit that they're pushing in here. I read it cover to cover. And yeah, then there's a section on animals, and then do use your digital technology wisely. Like, just And you think, is this really happening? Right? This is just a big scuff of toilet paper, right? Just, yeah. Just, oh, and then on the back, something more important. Yeah, the functions of cat whiskers. Yeah, it fits right in. Just put this right, like, use your hand and just scrape it right up your back, because this is just shit. Which makes me think, because this, obviously, this discipline, you think, isn't that, it's almost got disciple there. I think, I was wondering when I looked at this, because I read it cover to cover, and I gave it a lot more thought than probably most other people. And I've often thought there's no disciples here in this world, because there's too many things to do, and nobody cares. And the indifference, the apathy, the bombardment of distractions and the cake and circus, that there just isn't anybody here. Nobody can see the forest through the trees. There's forest and trees here, baby cakes, and this is disgusting. Anyway, you might have thought that since they're pushing Jesus, Jehovah, and all this, that they might have mentioned the disciple part here, but of course that's not going to be in here, because they don't want you to think. They want you to tell you. They want to tell you, obviously, everything that we're here in this world, they want to teach you how to be told. So at every given second, you're waiting to be told. You don't think, you don't do anything. You just walk in circles and just filth, just walking right into the dirt, which is where they want you, right? It's almost over here. You won't be complaining about the dirt anymore, because you're going to be showering in it. But you'd think that the 12 disciples, which by all means probably just a totally made up story, but they're flaunting it here. They put this word here, but they don't relate to it, because there's very little. They make references to religion here, but just repugnant, just disgusting. And I just wanted to use it as a prop, because I've started some conversations up lately. What lacks today is that, this was my example, and I've discussed it a couple times lately with some people, including my parents, because when I was little and I would come home, or rather when my father would come home after work, and I was, let's say, 10, any age around that, and I would have friends, that when you came home and you all of a sudden were introduced to each other and be, hey, this is my friend so-and-so, that my father was a totally different species. Obviously bigger, taller, and smelled like where he worked, and he walks in and he was totally separate from us in every way he could have been. Like if a giraffe walked in the fucking room, you'd be, well, it's hard to explain, but that's my dad. Because he had nothing in common with us. He was different, so you could look at that as something that was different. So when that different thing spoke, you listened. When that different thing yelled, you listened. He wasn't just a taller version of you or him or her. They were totally different. They were a different species. Everything was different. We didn't have anything in common, which I'm not saying is something I want to promote. But nowadays, when you look at this, you know what this little bastard has in common with this fucking idiot? Everything. Everything. This one's probably a little different. Doesn't understand this. That's my bet. Because I'm betting this kid has a cell phone. Just like these two fucks. I bet you he texts all day. Just like these two fucks. I bet you they text each other. I bet you they get home and they watch the same sports. I bet you they do all the same things. I bet you daddy looks at himself in the mirror every bit as much as mommy. I bet you that this kid can't separate these two from himself. That they're just older versions of him. Just big kids. So you can't really say there's any role model present. They're just a taller version of you. There is no difference. And even in most cases now, the grandparents, if they're younger than some grandparents might be, also have a cell phone, also do the texting, also look at porno all day, also follow the sports, also follow the mindlessness of the celebrity gossip, all the indoctrination tools. See? Why this kid's going to be trash? I mean, who's he got to look up to? Who, right? I wasn't necessarily looking up to my father. He was just different. So when he barked, okay. It wasn't like we had nothing in common. And when I think back of fathers I knew at that time, where I would go to other houses and stay overnight and play and do something, whatever it was, I never got the feeling in any of them that your father was somehow different than my father, that it was different. And for the most part, the people I grew up with grew up to be all right. I don't think there's a big lack of respect. They're fairly decent people. But their children are subject to there not being a divide. That they are, for the most part, and this would be part of the plan. This would be some other pamphlet here, right? It would be some other indoctrination, like oh, what could possibly be wrong with Earth when I'm smashing kids around the face with a reed and backhanding them? Nothing wrong here, because there's a lot more cat videos out there than there is what's going on with the child abductions and the Satanistic rituals that are taking place and the eating the babies and but hey, there's no point in worrying about anything. Who's got time? There's cat videos, right? You fuck. See? So what's going on here? Why are there no disciples anymore? There's no role model. There's no one to follow. Right? I'm a big believer in role models and how shit rolls downhill, and that you look up, you see something. And I'm probably apprehensive about mentioning this, but I always, to this day, linked to how when I watched the movie Die Hard, I'm against mentioning things in a private sense, but when I watched Die Hard, the original, with John McClane, I always thought at that time, because then they were pushing role models in the right way then. Obviously this is 20 years, obviously it's gone by, but John McClane, virtuous, straightforward, stand-up guy, walked a certain way, talked a certain way, treated people right, wasn't doing things wrong, and I remember thinking about that, and to this day I think like that to me was a role model. But now you've got the role models today, the celebrities of today are just trash, and in which case the kids look at trash and they want to be trash. And I mean, trash obviously is just a descriptive word. It's whatever you think. If you think that the celebrity you're following today isn't trash, then you're right. If John McClane is trash, right? If the Die Hard series is trash, you're right. And I only bring that up because I noted at that time that that was a high watermark for films at the time. I still like films, and seeing a certain person walk a certain way, talk a certain way, act a certain way, carry himself a certain way. And the big thing is only having one face. As I mentioned, I wrote an article earlier this week in regards to integrity, moral uprightness, sound and undivided, right? The definition of integrity, because people are throwing around integrity. There's this ridiculous meme floating around that you're judged by how you treat other people. That's integrity. I think, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. It has very little to do with it. If you want to really be focused on that specifically, you could break it down a little bit. But in general, integrity is moral uprightness, sound, undivided integrity. Like if this world right now was a ship, its lack of integrity would explain why it's on the fucking ocean floor, right? It didn't have integrity. That gaping hole called our low point, our morality, our integrity, our values, our virtues, our morals, just set ablaze. And nobody cares because there's too much to do. Too much to do today, right? Let's have fun, right? Nothing matters. Nothing matters, right? Nobody I know gives a shit about anything. Right? Who cares? So when you see these things when there's no role model, because what is it? Everything here's been teetered. Everything's off kilter. Everything's wrong on purpose, because we're in this time. Not that I believe in time. We're at a location where everything here is wrong by design, perfectly, to go the way it is going. Downward, sinking, where nobody says anything about anything, nobody cares. There is no integrity. Look around with all the people in their faces, the amount of people. This is what my example for integrity I've used in different cases. Those people that have that face. Let's say I'm arguing with you, and you're on the phone. The phone rings. You and I are arguing, and I said, "You dirty bitch," and you look at me and you say, "You rotten asshole," and then the phone rings, and you're arguing, and you're like, "Oh, you fucking asshole," and you, "Hello." "Oh my God, hello, how are you?" "Oh my goodness, I haven't talked to you in a month." Well, there's two faces right there. And then you've got the face when the neighbor comes to the door. And then you've got the face when you're at the bar. And then you've got the face when your boss is talking. And then you've got the face when grandma calls. And then you've got the face, and then right? You've got all these faces for everything, any day of the week, depending on what suits you, right? Depending on what you want to showcase, what you want to exhibit. And yet just no integrity. Why? Because it's divided, right? And sound and undivided. The ship floats because it's not divided, right? But you're sinking because you're divided. So I liken this to this that I always think about, that everything in your life is like a light that's swinging above, like a dangling light bulb, but there's a breeze in the room, and everything you've got in your life is an option to stop it, to have the light be there, to have it illuminate everything in front of you, to see it for what it is. So it's not you. You're the one that's stationary. It's your thoughts, your values, ethics, morals, everything that makes you what you are. And yet the world is swinging around right there. By design, I think everything in this world's a test. So it's up to you. You can't grab it and manhandle it and say, it doesn't work that way. Obviously, this is figurative. And you've got to stop it and then see things for what they are. And then ideally, you get yourself out of the way, right? So you're supposed to master self, master it, and then throw it away. So find everything out about yourself that needs to be mastered, mind, body, spirit, right? You master those three things, you'd be amazed how far you can see. And then when something is coming at you, right, you're not there and you can see it for what it is. Because if you throw something at me now, it's going to hit me. And then I'm looking at something that hits me. I'm in the way of it. I don't want to be in the way of information. I don't want to insert my own bias, prejudice. I don't want to have the word my in the sentence. I want to let it go and see it for what it is, which is all of these things I'm seeing. I don't want to insinuate, I don't want to suggest, I don't want to portray some kind of bias or prejudice. I see things here as wrong. Everything here is wrong, but it's wrong on purpose. And the reason I'm inclined to make these things is that it's the youth, the people that that can somebody mention the fucking emperor. Wow, there's no clothes here. These things are happening. This is all taking place, right? No role models. There's no integrity. Too many faces. Too many, right? Not enough bread. Not enough butter spread on too much toast. Everybody is so busy. Everybody just wants to put their head down. Nobody wants to make eye contact. Nobody can stand up for something and call a spade a spade. Nobody can just go out and stop anything when everything is moving so fast. I admit, because that was part of the plan, right? Lots of distractions, cake and circus. They've called it that for probably as long as they've been writing. All to make sure that you're not there. You're weaker in every sense. That we are undivided, obviously, beyond ourselves, because it's the ego, the me that I mentioned, that's as important as anything. That's why they want to make sure that the little kids today are divided. That's why as much as I would admit this, that when I was home as a youth, I might think that I didn't have a lot of time with my parents, but there probably was, to be honest, that compared to today, because there wasn't a lot of choice. So if there was one TV show, which at that time there was, we might all watch it together. We would have dinner together, but there weren't distractions pulling us at every given minute. Now there are. So as much as that's not wrong, you realize that it was imposed upon you. It looks like it's just your free will. It looks like you're just taking advantage of this technology, the opportunity, that it's all, but it's detrimental. It was meant to break the family up. It was meant to break everything up, break us all up. So not only are we divided amongst ourselves, we are divided individually as people, right? Faces for everything. Politically correct speak. Nobody wants to call anything for what it is. Everybody wants to shy away from it. So this is just the opposite of integrity, which is why there aren't any. This is why the kids are running wild. And it's not the parents' fault. It's the program. This is programming. This is just mocking, to be honest with you. And I don't fault it. I read it cover to cover, including the fucking cat. I read it. Right? You can't judge something unless you read it. Right? Anything I'm talking about, don't believe me. This is another thing that I want to touch on. That no matter what I've discovered, invented, created, written, I don't want anybody to say so-and-so said so. I don't. Who said that? Who fucking cares who said that? Let things just be true. So This world is never going to let things just be true. Never going to let things just stand on their own. Everything's got to be because so-and-so said so, right? This was patented. You can reference this in some book. No, no. Just to have a foundation, to have words, to have, right? To have things just be what they are, but they want to make sure that everything is tied together in this world, right? Because then they control it. Then they can, right? Everybody around us, everything is owned, operated, controlled, right? All while Rome burns, right? Everything's on fire, and we're down to the bottom here. So that's why I feel bad. You see those kids being whacked, and I think, right, that's about as tough as anything I've witnessed. And I've done some homework, and yet you look around here at the kids here today, and I know that they're not going anywhere better. They might not be hit as much, but there are no jobs up ahead. They're getting rid of all the industry. Like, what do you think they're going to do? You think it's over? The only thing running this country is the guy at the top that borrows from some other guy we don't know, and he drops a coin into the machine that plays one more day of games. Like an arcade game. That's what Canada, that's what the first world economies are, right? Just more deficit, more coins from the piece of dog shit Harper right now that's reading the teleprompter, right? Pro-Israel, right? This, right? Oh, and who we bombing? I haven't even mentioned that this week. We're bombing Syria. And then I read today we're going to start giving troops to Ukraine to make sure they're really good murderers, right? Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice that when we're get rid of all the industry, get rid of all the jobs, make us into one big melting pot of writhing filth, right? Just to where, and make sure nobody can think, read, speak, right? And then think, let's bomb them, right? Let's bomb them. That's what I don't even know why. To be honest, I don't know. That we promoting democracy over there? Is there the CIA operatives that call themselves ISIS? So they're getting out of hand. Are we looking for Osama bin Laden to kill him a third time? Is that what that is? Or are we just murderers? Right? This is just fascist, right? It's nice. So now we're going to go to the Ukraine, which is right there. And I mean, that's obviously complicated. As much attention as I paid to it, I can't make head nor tail of it. But it's all part of the joke, because now they're telling you. They want you to know. Because everybody's so fucking brain dead, and the only thing they know is how the narrative goes in here. Yep. And then they go back to their iPads, their hobbies, their sports, their bullshit, their tail, right? Right in their mouth, just round and round, hamster cage, little kids, hamster cages, right? The mums and dads are just taller versions than the kids, and they're going nowhere. There's no such thing as getting ahead. It's all over, but just keep doing it. Nobody pays attention to anything. Nobody gives a shit about anything, right? So, right, the states are coming down, everything. This is just this last pocket, and if it was over, I don't know what I'll have to make these videos for, because when it's over, it's over. Right now, you see every day, does it not interest you that, I mean, the only reason they provided the internet was to flaunt it. I mean, they talk about policing it, and who cares? They'll never shut it down, because they know it's going to, the number one and two things on it are porno and video games, sex and violence. That's not going anywhere. Facebook is appalling. I admit it's an interesting distraction, but it was formulated to do that. It's part of the control mechanism, right? It's not going anywhere. It's awesome. We pay to be monitored, controlled, conditioned. We offer, obviously the biggest trade right now, I guess, is the child sex slave industry, and obviously all of you put your pictures of your kids on there, so that's probably very useful for whoever's on the other side of that screen that says, thank you, right? There's a little bit more to it, right? And no matter how much we get to her, like seeing those kids slapped around, in the end I look over here at these kids and you think, those guys over there, that guy slapping those kids in that other video, do you think he'd look at your kids or you and have any kind of respect? You might want to go and do something about it, but if he knew anything about you, he'd know you're not going to do anything about anything. You're a fucking dog. You got your oppressor at the top. You got no rights here in Canada. You can't do anything about anything. You're not even allowed to hit your kids. God, he would laugh at you and think, God, what a sucker you are. And your kids are just going to grow up to be trash. They're going to be unemployment line. There's no industry here. It's over. So as much as I think that's wrong, this is just as wrong in just a totally different way. Everything that's coming at us is wrong. It's ubiquitous. It's raining it, right? You can't see it. Why? Because you're distracted. You're busy. You got all your faces, one for every day of the week, right? So what's happening? All part of the design, right? Whatever happened, just whatever happened. It's all part of the plan. It's going perfectly to the plan. I don't see what's wrong. I don't know anybody that cares about anything, right? So I touched on everything. And I didn't wear this shirt necessarily to provoke anything. I've probably got about as many shirts as videos I'm going to make, so that's about as sensical. I was going to do it without a shirt because it's getting warm, right? I think it's going to go from winter into summer, and right, part of the plan, people don't even think that they control the weather because they're brain dead, and because the news just said, no, they don't. You know, see, I heard it on the news, right? The news said so. That's all, right? Just the echo chamber, right? You hear it so many times it's true. You say something so many times it's true. I see a lot of evidence of this on a personal level. And I don't mean myself, but fuck it. Maybe I'm no better than anybody else here. I'm only sticking around in this toilet bowl. I figure it's going to stop swirling pretty soon, and suck us into whatever the next dark era is. And I wouldn't mind seeing what's going on. I'd like to meet the wizard, but this thing might just be running on autopilot. Though I am inclined to think that there's just a bunch of fat, white piles of dog shit people huddled around a portal, waiting to hear the next, oh yes, master, I will go and implement that. Thank you. May I have another scrap? Right? That's what I'm inclined to think, because everything is disgusting. As smooth as it is, so is shit running down a hill, right? Right? The comparisons, the continuity. Remember the lack of continuity? Look for the lack of continuity. It's out there, but... right? Anyway, I'm going to find a rope. I don't know how to tie a noose, but I certainly know how to piss up it.